Hi, everyone. So, in honor of Veterans Day, we are going to be talking about the benefits that military members get. So, military members of the military and their families get certain immigration benefits for their service, right? Because they have sacrificed so much to serve the country, they get certain immigration benefits that other people do not. And today I will be going over what those benefits are and how it can help a member of the military or their family make their immigration process better and smoother. I am U.S. immigration lawyer Lillian, and I help my clients get green cards and citizenships for themselves and their families using the U.S. immigration law system. So let's jump right in. The first thing is members of the military get expedited naturalization. Okay. So once you enter the military, you can get expedited naturalization. This means if you are, a second, let's let that go by. If you are a permanent resident, because let's start with who can actually enter the military, because there used to be a program where anyone, including undocumented immigrants, can enter the military and then be able to get a green card and subsequently a citizenship. That program is no longer available. So everything I'm going to be talking about today is for members of the military that are permanent residents or US citizens. So, permanent residents that are in the military can get their naturalization expedited. And that is a key benefit because instead of waiting years to qualify, you can actually get your status way faster. So, let's talk about what that actually means in practical terms. All right. So if you are a permanent resident and you are currently in the military in active duty, you are able to get your citizenship expedited. So when there is a designated period of hostility, so as a military member, you would know if you are in a designated period of hostility. And if you are in that, then you will be able to apply for naturalization right away. So typically you have to wait 5 years to apply for citizenship once you get your green card, or 3 years if you got your green card through marriage. But with this expedited processing and the US being in a designated period of hostility, you would be able to apply for citizenship right away. You don't even have to wait for the 5 years or the 3 years. So that's why it's so important to pay attention to the fact what you qualify for. Okay. So expedited naturalization is the first thing you qualify for because you can go from being a permanent resident to a citizen pretty quickly without waiting the 5 years or the 3 years. Now, an added benefit with this expedited naturalization is if you are a conditional resident. So that is, you have a 2-year green card and you are in the military, you would also qualify for this expedited naturalization. The even better part is, remember, when I talk about the 2-year green card, you have to apply to remove conditions before you can then get the 10-year one and then apply for citizenship. Well, if you are in the military and in this designated period of hostility, you can skip the removal of condition and go from a conditional 2-year green card directly to citizenship and skip the whole removal of conditions. So that is, again, an added benefit because no one else gets to do that. Okay. No one else gets to skip the removal of conditions except for members of the military. So keep that in mind. And then veterans can also be eligible for the expedited processing if they served um, even if they served during peacetime, but were subsequently enlisted during a period of hostility. So even if the person is no longer in the military and they are a veteran now, if they served in a period of hostility while they were enlisted, that would still count for the expedited naturalization. Okay. So it's not just current members of the military, but also veterans as well can qualify for this expedited naturalization. This is so special because your application as a veteran or as an active duty military member does not go to the general naturalization application office, right? It goes to a special office for military members and veterans, okay? So you are getting your application process faster, you are getting to actually skip certain requirements like the 5 year and the 3 year physical residence requirements. And if you are a conditional resident, you can go from conditional 2 year green card to naturalization, citizenship, and skip the whole removal of condition if you are serving or served in a time of hostility. Okay. So that is all the expedited naturalization. Now, let's talk about parole in place. This is a program that's, again, only for military members, right? And their families. So if you are in the military and you have a family member that maybe entered the US without inspection. So they came in, they did not have a visa, they did not get paroled into the US. They basically walked into the US, right? They have no admission, no inspection into the US. Well, with parole in place, why this is so important is with parole in place, you can file for them to get this parole in place, which is basically the same as if they were at the border and they asked to be paroled into the US. So that will count as admission into the US, which means if, let's say, you are a US citizen and you are a member of the military and your spouse entered without inspection, you can file parole in place for them. And once that is approved and they get that parole, you can now apply for a green card for them. And they do not have to leave the US. They can complete the whole process in the US. Okay, if you are not a member of the military and there's no parole in place, they will have to file the first part here, apply for a waiver, leave the US to actually get the green card. But as a member of the military, you can file for your spouse now to be able to get parole in place. And once they get that parole in place, you can file adjustment of status for them in the US. So it completely changes their status in the US. And you're now able to go from worrying about them leaving the US, applying for a waiver, the time all of that is going to take, to just doing a basic green card application. So it is so vital that you know that parole in place is for you if you are an active duty military member or a veteran, right? You can qualify even if you are no longer part of the military, active duty military. And it's only for immediate relatives. So that is spouses, children, and parents. Okay? Spouses, children under 21, and parents of a military member or a veteran can qualify for parole in place. All right. And then the next thing I want to talk about is the benefits to military family members. So if, let's say, you are in the US, you are active duty military, and you are filing for a family member, you get added benefits, right? You can be filing a regular I-130 application for a spouse that may be outside of the US, but you are able to request expedited processing depending on deployment or anything having to do with the military. Okay, so examples of these are if you are active duty military and you are about to be deployed, but your spouse has an I-130 still pending, and you would want that to be completed so that your spouse can actually travel with you and not have to stay behind in the US, you can request expedited processing. Again, members of the military get special treatment, okay? Veterans get special treatment, but for cases to be expedited, being active duty military or being deployed are the key things that will get your case expedited. So really pay attention um, to your service and to your case to see if it's worth it to go ahead and apply for expedited processing of your case. Remember, because you're active duty military, you get special benefits. Okay, you can get a letter from your um, from from your officers or whoever is above you stating why your spouse's I-130 being pending or why their green card application not being approved is going to affect your service in the military. So if you are going through background checks and security clearance checks, having a spouse that's not a permanent resident can affect that. So that is another reason that you can request an expedite as a member of the military. Okay. And then the last thing I want to talk about today is, of course, um, getting citizenship if the military person passes away. So, in the unfortunate event that a member of the military dies while serving, the surviving family members can be able to apply for citizenship as a way to honor the sacrifice of the service member. So, let's say a permanent resident um, is in the military and ends up passing away while serving. The surviving family members can actually apply for citizenship for that person, right? For their family member that was in the military to get citizenship. So it's really important because if they get citizenship, then there's certain visas and certain status that the family members can apply for. So, for example, if they apply for the citizenship for a permanent resident that passed away, the spouse does not have status yet. Once they become a US citizen, the spouse can apply for a Form I-130 as the widow of a US citizen. Without this process of the deceased military member that was a permanent resident being able to apply for citizenship, that military spouse is not able to then go ahead and apply for the um, I-360 as the spouse of a US citizen that passed away. So it's things in place to not only honor the sacrifice made by the service member, but to make sure that the family of that service member has options to continue their lives in the US and continue enjoying the benefits of having that spouse that was a part of the military. So these are just some of the benefits that are out there for members of the military and their families. And when I say members of the military, that does include veterans. There are certain provisions that do not lend itself to veterans being able to benefit from it, like the expedited processing for being active duty military. Clearly, if you're a veteran, you're no longer active duty military, so that certain one wouldn't apply to you. However, the rest of it can. So it is really important and to know what you qualify for, to know that you have options beyond just applying an I-130 with an I-485. You get special privileges, and that is the US's way of making the lives of service members and veterans a lot easier when it comes to the immigration process. So I hope you got a lot out of this, and you now know that there's so many options, there's so many things that you can really lean into to make your process a lot smoother as a member of the military or as a veteran, to make filing for family a lot easier. And remember, most of these benefits are for immediate relatives. So that is your spouse, minor children. So minor children for immigration purposes are children under the age of 21 and unmarried, and your parents. So those are considered immediate relatives, and all of these provisions would be able to benefit immediate relatives. All right. So, as y'all know, tomorrow is Veterans Day, and that's why I wanted to do this video to just express my gratitude to our veterans and their families, and just give options to veterans or members of the military that may not even know that they have these options. I just wanted to take the time out and talk about these important topics. And thank you so much to our veterans for your service, and for everything that you have went through. We are truly grateful, and I just want to say that the sacrifices you've made for our country does not go unnoticed. All right. So if you found this video helpful, do not forget to like, share, and subscribe. Until next time, take care and happy Veterans Day.